Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Will is on the road. Alex is not on the road. You see what I did there? Because it's a roadcaster. And wherever you are, whenever you listen, it's time to rise up. It's Monday morning, April 7th. And boy, oh boy, red and green. Nope, just red.
You're a loser.
Haven't seen this much red in a minute. And we're here to talk about it. Have you seen the charts, everybody? Have you seen Bitcoin? Did
What
somebody
charts?
kill it? Whew.
What are charts?
I had to ask somebody that this
Who?
weekend. I said to them, actually, I haven't been watching the charts. I really don't know what's happening. And then I got the CoinGecko alert last night that said, hey, do you want to buy some Bitcoin? And I was like, why? What's it doing? It was like 3 a.m. I woke up for something else. And it was red.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Will, did I see you
I hope it
correctly?
gets more red.
Did I see you that you had called for it to drop? What was it? 33%. I saw you invoke the old reverse Watson indicator on X.
Yeah. I was calling out the inverse Watson fan club. Because hang on a second, this lighting's not good. There we go. Yeah. I mean, I'm calling for Bitcoin to get to the 50 to 60K range. I called that as soon as we got the Trump announcement on the tariffs. And I said, all right, cool. We're having a bearish break of a bear flag, Bitcoin to 50 to 60K. There are going to be some bumps upwards along the way if it happens. And in the video I made this morning, I said the areas where you could expect to get bounces, 72K, 69K, and then 64K are potential areas to get bounces.
72, 69, 64. Those are your numbers, unless you're betting on the reverse Watson. And then, it's all green for you. But looks like so far we're on the way there, huh?
Yeah. Nailed the stock market so far, the 12% fall. So we'll see if it overextends past that. Should be interesting.
Should be interesting. And the stock market will be open here in just a little bit. We're going to see what things are looking like. But the weekend was a heavy one. The rain was falling. The stocks were falling. Bitcoin was falling. Everything is coming on down. So let us know how you're feeling about it. And if you've got a question, let us know. Tori is here and says, Will, she said, we don't know about your lighting, sir, because she's watching on YouTube, so she can't see you. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, welcome. We're so glad you're here. You're hanging out with the ghost of Will Watson. If you want to see his video, he's on TikTok today while he's mobile. The ghost of Will Watson.
Yeah. Sorry, YouTube and Twitter.
But there's lots
on the tiki-taki.
There's lots of good stuff to talk about. And Alex, I think you often say that days like this, periods like this, they're the best time to pay attention, right?
Yeah, I think you're making yet another mistake if you've screwed something up to this point and now you're not paying attention anymore. I think you're compounding your error. All I know is Solana's under $100.
Alex,
Yes.
And I was going to say,
Pork
I'm
chop.
curious because with your pork chop, it's cute. And I'm curious, Alex, like where you're at with your portfolio right now in terms of like percentages of like Bitcoin, Solana, and stables.
Mhm.
Because I know you just see a good amount of red and you buy, and then you see a good amount of green and you sell. And it's a simple strategy, but it's a safe one, and it's been working better than than other strategies that you've employed in other cycles. So I'm curious where you're at with your portfolio right now in terms of like what percent is stable coins are you? I know you have some very early Solana buys, so like a lot is still most likely still in profit. So I'm just curious where you're at.
Yeah. Everything is still in profit, but the Solana margin is very small now. Although I don't have a ton of it and I sold it pretty heavily at many, many different times. I'm like 65-ish% stables. And what is not stable is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And then there are like a few little tiny positions pretty much just to happen to hold in Well, there's two things.
In
There's
sickness and in health.
there's tiny positions to have and to hold in sickness and in health, which would be a little ondo. And when I say a little, I mean comparatively, I think like less than 2%. It's slight, probably not even 1% at this point. Just wanted to like officially put the foot in the door, but didn't go hard because firmly expected it to do as it's doing and fall down farther. If I make dollar cost average buys lately, they've all been to USDC, and all of it is earning yield, although more people are piling into yield. So those rates are lower than they were a few months ago, which is fine. It's better than zero. It's better than bleeding, which it would be doing if it was being held in anything else. So that's something. But yeah, no, I mean, right now it's nice to feel relaxed. Of course, my Roth IRA is not relaxed. It's hurting, but you know, everyone's is. Yeah, no, I'm just kind of waiting because I feel like there's more. You know, whenever I see all of the people who are just like, you know, this is going to be the greatest recovery ever, I'm like, you know what, maybe. But you don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. The difference here is that the last time we had numbers like this, we could identify all of the contributing factors that were making it uncertain, right? You had war breaking out, you had pandemic causing all sorts of things, you had all of these different contributing factors, and now it is manufactured by a very small group of people, and so we're kind of at the mercy of what they decide to do. I mean, you're in this interesting position where the crisis is completely manufactured, which means that, yeah, the recovery could also be manufactured, but I think you've got this like fractured trust right now that will take more than just 1 or 2 tweets to fix, because you need, you know, part of that uncertainty is just not knowing what the hell is going to come out of their mouths next. So overall, I'm fine. I'm just kind of waiting because I expect us to go lower, but I think, Will, we talked about some limit buys and stuff. I mean, I've got Bitcoin buys down into regions that I would say are extremely unlikely, but who knows? And then Solana buys all the way down to like $60, I think is my lowest. And then ETH,
we'll see from there.
I don't know. Yeah, ETH, I don't know. ETH, I've got a few different levels, but if ETH goes below 1,000, then we'd be getting closer to my average again, which is, I think, like 860 right now. We have a really good question in the comments. Go ahead, Will.
Oh, I was going to say my low that I would expect for Ethereum is right around 900.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm expecting. Maybe you could dip a little bit past that, but like 900. If Ethereum gets to 900, you're gonna have everyone screaming that it's going to zero, and you're gonna be right about near the bottom, in my personal opinion.
Man, could you imagine if ETH gets to 900 again? If ETH gets to 900 again, I would have a really hard time not doing something irresponsible. That just is wild to me. Same thing for, like you say, sold at 60 or 50 or something like that. It'd be crazy.
What I'm praying for is an opportunity like what Amy had, our friend Amy Street, and where she sold her car and got downgraded her car to be able to get enough cash to be able to buy Solana at $8. And I'm just like, please, God in heaven, let me sell a kidney to buy Solana at $8.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're all here to sell at least one organ for future gains. Not a problem. Wouldn't be sad about it. I wanted to highlight this question in the comments that is asking about, it's observing and then asking about what happens in a market. Yeah, prices are down, but every sell has a buy, right? The question is, so all the money is just waiting somewhere else to re-enter the market, to move to another asset. And yes, hypothetically, that is correct. Every sell has a buy. Every buy has a sell. That's how the market works. But where the money goes is what's worth paying attention to. We were talking about this a little bit last week, and we probably will continue to see this today. But Will, since I think you're probably the most tapped into it, when people are leaving stocks, when they're leaving Bitcoin, where the hell are they going? Where is their money going?
3 places. You are correct. I'm tapped into this. Two of them are assets. The first of which are bonds. You know that people are jumping into bonds because the rates on bonds are coming down. Rates and price of, or like demand of bonds have an inverse relationship. So if demand for bonds goes up, rates come down. That's one of the things that Trump wants. You're not going to see meaningful negotiation with trade deals until you see bond rates come down more and the Fed starts cutting rates, because that's like the real goal here. It's to restructure U.S. debt. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So where's the money going? Bonds. Secondly, gold. Gold has been going up like crazy for the past 6 months or something like that. Gold's been doing great. A lot of money is going into gold. Those are the two main assets. Thirdly, where's the money going? Savings accounts. It's just being pulled out of markets and it's going into money market funds. How do you know that? The M2 money supply. So many people, and I made a video on this, I called everybody out on it, and then I got a bunch of shit for it, and they're like, oh, well, Bitcoin has to go up because M2 is going up. Incorrect. M2 is how you measure money. There's multiple measurements. There's M0, M1, and M2. M2 is M1 and M0 together plus things. So what are those things? The things that make up the M2 money supply are all of the physical money that exists out there and money that exists within the deposits of the major banks that use the Fed directly, right? That's M0. Then you also have money in checkings accounts and things that are used pretty quickly for transactions to pay bills and stuff. That's M1. M2 are all of those things together, adding savings accounts and retail level, not institutional level, but retail level money market funds. And M0 and M1 are not going up in value. M0 is slightly going up because China's been printing a lot of money. Remember, that includes the measurement of physical actual cash. But with M0 and M1 not going up really at all, M2 is going up because of the things that make M2 unique. What makes M2 unique again? Money market funds and savings accounts. That's why M2 is going up. It's not going up because money is printing. It's not going up because liquidity is going up. It is ever so slightly because China's been printing. M2 has been going up because people have been ripping their money out of markets and putting it into savings accounts and money market funds. Those are the three places where money is going. Savings accounts, gold, bonds, risk-off assets that have historically been proven to be risk-off. And so whenever you see people on Twitter or TikTok being like, M2's coming up, it's about to rebound, they don't know what the fuck they are talking about.
Well, really quickly, one thing, it's me, your dad said, jokingly, I'm sure, I think my M2 is going down. The question I have is, there are still people, though, if somebody is selling out of their Bitcoin, who are buying those assets.
Too.
So for somebody like you, for somebody like me, for somebody like Alex, this is the time we get excited to buy. But do you have any more insight on who specifically is buying up those sell orders? Do we have numbers on that? Because it's not something I've looked at this time.
I don't have numbers on it, but I have seen articles that came out, and I will put an asterisk on this. So I haven't dived into this at all. But apparently, air quotes, it is retail that have been buying stocks at these levels. And I just saw this on Twitter and things being shared around. So again, put an asterisk by this. But I saw some people getting excited that retail was buying in at these levels. And I was there kind of scratching my head do you copy retail or do you copy institutions? You copy institutions because institutions take advantage of retail. And I saw that and I was like, I don't know, guys, it kind of makes me more bearish if retail are the folks who are buying. But again, I haven't verified this. I just saw some articles being shared on Twitter.
Yeah. Traditionally, historically, institutions at signs of weakness, they tend to sell. And this is across lots of different assets. So,
you know what lesson was really driven home to me at this is
I'd love to know.
Warren Buffett's pretty good at this.
Yeah,
Warren Buffett's pretty good at this game. He's pretty tapped in, that fella from Omaha.
Yeah, he's been in cash for a minute.
Well,
He's been record levels of cash for quite a little bit now, and he sold the top, almost like he's the greatest investor, not on Capitol Hill, in history.
Important
Nancy
caveat
Pelosi,
there.
I'm looking at you, lady.
Too many drinks.
Just for the record, though, Warren Buffett is in a lot of cash if you look at it from all of our perspectives. But Berkshire Hathaway has over $1 trillion assets under management. So a couple $100 billion worth of cash compared to Berkshire Hathaway's entire portfolio which is silly to say about more than $100 billion or $200 billion. It's a fraction. Like they're still pretty.
But it's important to note that they have never held more cash.
Yeah.
It's important to note that. For Berkshire Hathaway is still a record level of cash.
It's true.
So I think that's noteworthy still.
It's noteworthy, absolutely. All I'm saying is that it gets tossed around as if Warren Buffett is sitting 100% in cash when he's sitting less than 20% in cash. That's all I'm saying.
Bad news.
Good.
Warren Buffett has famously said, "Bad news is an investor's best friend." So if you're Warren Buffett,
yeah,
I do. I mean, it's worth saying, just for the record, that I don't disagree with this. That when markets do things like this, this is kind of what we talk about when I say I capitalize or try to capitalize on unsustainable movement, whether that's up or down. But this is manufactured for like a dick measuring contest, and you have a ton of people who are like drawing on retirement accounts that are just eviscerated and not in a position to like do something else about it. And it is worth, I think, just taking a step back and not exclusively exuding like pure excitement about all of this, because I think it's relatively insensitive. A lot of things are very bad and scary, and there's not a lot of reason to think that the people who are in charge are going to admit like perhaps this methodology is not going the way that we wanted it to. At what point would they say perhaps a different tactic is warranted? We've never seen any evidence to suggest that they would do that. So it's very nerve-wracking.
I think I think that's exactly their plan, though. I think Donald Trump has been very explicit specifically about saying,
I think it's
we're
exactly
in for pain.
the plan.
Yeah, we're in for pain.
What? Yep. And you know what? I'm not saying that that's not what he said or did. I'm saying that no one fully appreciates that or the point of it. And also, the guy who has based the success metric for every one of the presidents he's ever commented on has been the stock market. He famously said, if the Dow Jones loses 1,500 points, the president should be impeached. Pulse check. How many points has the Dow Jones lost since he was inaugurated? Is it more than 1,500? Going out on a limb here.
It is.
We had two 1,500 days this last weekend.
Yeah. So that's my point. My point is that it's all bullshit. It's just billionaires trying to play with themselves, and we're all the collateral damage. So it's just worth pointing out that yes, this could be a great opportunity. Lots of people are probably underwater and over leveraged and not in a position to capitalize on a great opportunity. And also, just given the fact that this is completely manufactured, who's to say how much lower it will go or not go? That's all I'm saying. Talking about it with too much certainty, I think can be misleading. This is not quite the same as other crashes. Now, I will say that, of course, crazy shits happen. Markets tend to recover. It's not like this is going to be the case forever. But that doesn't really help someone who's drawing on a retirement account that is getting curb stomped in the background right now.
Well, and as a lot of our friends in the comments note, it's tough, especially when you're somebody who already is living paycheck to paycheck, if you're somebody who's already having a hard time saving money, if you don't have a lot of investments and you need to sell them to get access to cash really quick, this hits you a lot harder than it does for somebody who's had a record-breaking quarter of profits the last couple of years. So, we're sympathetic for that, for sure. Go ahead, Will. I think I rugged you.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say was because this is a fabricated crash, that there will be a fabricated solution. I guess any solution is, I guess, technically fabricated, but whatever. I guess you could say natural market, just doing things. But anyway, regardless, the turnaround, the eventual turnaround will probably be pretty quick, because you just have to like remove the fabricated situation. You need trade deals, and then it's fixed, right? Like, because that's the big problem. It's tariffs are happening to cause markets to crash, to make interest rates go lower. So once interest rates start to go lower and you start to have trade deals come in, the entire situation reverses. And then it's not like something in the financial system broke that needs fixing. That's going to take time to fix it. It's just that this immediate pressure that was put onto global markets would then get taken off, and then markets can go back to doing what markets were doing, which was, going up straight for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. I want to answer this question that asks, can we explain how a crash can be fabricated? And just to be explicit, we're talking here about how power is the thing, influence is the thing. If you are a person, an institution, an entity that has a lot of power, then your actions, they ripple far, like throwing a rock into the water. The bigger the rock, the bigger the splash. And in this particular case, we're talking about the influence of the United States through the actor Donald Trump imposing tariffs on pretty much the rest of the world. It had a huge ripple effect. It's probably going to cause a lot of retaliatory tariffs today. And all of the deals that Will is talking about that we have relied on to trade goods between countries have been thrown off balance. And so it's a big rock in a relatively small pond, the globe, everyone's connected. And so it's going to ripple far until somebody takes the rock out or lets the water stabilize, builds a bridge, whatever, Extend the analogy in whatever direction you want, but that's exactly how a crash can be fabricated. In this analogy, everything is a social construction. Our whole world is just a bunch of people making.
Did someone say ripple?
Did someone say ripple? Yeah, exactly. Oh my god!
It feels worth noting that. We all know I'm a firm believer in Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is often the correct one. I don't think that it's quite as complex as some people are making it out to be. The guy has aspirations of being big and powerful. This is not news. It's all he talks about. It's everything that's been emulated and lusted after for his entire life. So, of course, this kind of behavior makes sense. And I've kind of always thought that we were just going to do all this crazy shit to say that we can, and then arbitrarily, if it doesn't go well, you can just declare victory. Who fucking cares? Just say, it worked, and then undo it. Because like you pointed out, Evan, if we get retaliatory tariffs against these, remember, the numbers we came up with are not based on tariffs. They're based on trade deficits, which is different. You don't sell and buy the same from every single country. So, of course, deficits exist all over the place. So I'm kind of just, I'm waiting for it to have just gone on long enough and realize it's either going to work or it's not going to work. And then just go ahead and say, okay, I'm officially declaring victory. It's over. Good job, me. And then call it a day. And then, of course, you have to rebuild trust. And that's the lengthier road, I think.
Well, and like Will said last week, tariffs, get more tariffs, get more tariffs, get more tariffs. We have this sort of uncertainty spiral until it's resolved. So who knows?
Yeah, but the thing is again, I want to highlight that tariffs aren't necessarily bad, right? And here, I saw some comments, those tariffs or taxes on what is it? Tariffs can be good, yada yada, is the general sentiment. And yet tariffs can be good. They're a tool. All tools have a purpose and a function where they work really well, and other tools where they don't work well. You're not going to try to saw a nail into a wall, right? That doesn't work, right? But tariffs have a great situation, and there are a lot of situations where the United States is tariffed unfairly in specific goods for countries, not their entire. This is the problem with these tariffs, right? The problem with these tariffs that we have is that it is a unilateral tariff across all products that we get from other countries, where one country, South Korea is an example that's just top of mind for me. They have a 513% tariff on rice coming in from the United States. But everything else, they either lowered to 0% in 2007 with the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement, or it's as high as like 8% or 15% for specific things. They're very, very, very low. And then hitting them with a unilateral, I think it's like 25% or something like that, or I think it's a 25% tariff from the United States on everything. That's not being strategic with your tariffs. That's taking a sledgehammer against a wall that you need to like put one single nail in to hang up a picture. Like you're smashing so much more that it's very, very, very damaging. And that's why these tariffs that we have, the unilateral tariffs, it's not being strategic with them, and it's causing way more pain in the economy than you need to. If your goal is I really want to negotiate better trade deals with these countries, then you have very specific tailored tariffs for the situations where we do have unfair trade tariffs against the United States. And again, those exist. But I'll finish this note and then Alex dive in. But if you are going with the approach that Trump's going with, it's not because your first goal, this is my opinion, it's not because your first goal is to negotiate these trade deals. Your goal is to cause a bunch of panic in the market and also apply a crazy amount of pressure on people to bring them to the negotiating table. I just think you can do that same exact goal, apply pressure to bring them to the negotiating table without smashing everything and being strategic with those tariffs. So that's my opinion on it.
Alex,
Alex, you can go ahead.
Before you jump in, I have to break some news that is directly relevant to this, which is that the Federal Reserve Board has just announced that they will host a closed meeting today at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, and it is tentatively scheduled to discuss the following matters of official board business: review and determination of the advance and discount rates to be charged by Federal Reserve banks. So the chess move could be advancing. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, just to, Will, it's funny as you're talking about this, that there's so many conversations about tariffs that are just like the word tariff and then saying how much we're charging other countries in tariffs. And all of it is just frustrating because, yeah, it's like saying that hammers are bad because somebody hit someone else in the head with one, negating all of the other purposes that a hammer could be used for. It just demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of what's going on here. And you skipped a few steps in the world of diplomacy. I totally understand. New administration comes in, they're following on the heels of one that was in opposition to them, and they think they did a terrible job. Fair. That's usually the case. New administration comes in and says, hey, we've been getting taken advantage of here, here, and here, or whatever. Generally, we're not being treated fairly, all these sorts of things. All of it could be objectively true or exaggerated or whatever. It's the method with which you handle things on the global stage when all of these different countries are involved, it matters. I know that it's attractive and it's appealing to say things have been bad for a long time and none of the diplomats who have been in charge have done a great job. So clearly something different needs to happen. We need a different methodology. What we've been doing for the last how many 100 years or whatever hasn't worked. Fair again. But that's just like Evan saying that, he needs this job done at his house and he's hired 6 contractors and they've all tried to do it somewhat similarly and it's never worked. And so he just burned his house down because clearly it wasn't going to get fixed. It just doesn't make sense to go at it like this. This is not like, even if it works, even if it worked to the point where every country was like, you're right, too much, let's do something else. You just did that by fear and intimidation. That's not a sustainable relationship. And it's going to fall apart the second power shifts again. And the second that you have new people in charge and calling the shots ever, you're going to have to do a whole lot of backpedaling and apologizing and renegotiating all this sort of stuff. And it's going to be so temporary, it's not even funny. You're going to have to do a massive re-rack unless we all just collectively agree to be like, let's pretend the last how many years didn't happen and start from scratch. And if I could find a silver lining at all, it would just be that, you know how if you keep telling your kid to do something or do a chore, and they just keep doing an awful job, and finally you're like, okay, fuck it, I'll do it myself. That's kind of what this feels like. It's like, okay, sorry, you're right. Something needs to change. Let's not burn the whole house down. I'll fix it. And that would be about the only silver line that I could figure out. It's just like pointing a giant spotlight on the fact that, hey, this shit is broken and it has never been fixed. Like, people who have been in a rough, shitty economic situation have been there for a very long time, and no politician on either side has ever really done anything to help them in any capacity. So perhaps it's time for a radical shift in one direction or another. So we'll see. Because, I mean, a lot of things are still on the table here. Congress could undo all of this. None of these were done the full, like, regular way through congressional approval and application of different tariffs and all this sort of stuff. They were just done through emergency declaration, which is a presidential power, but also one that can be checked by the legislative branch. So they still have the chance to do that. And they've already done it and checked him on the Canadian tariff. So if the Senate, controlled by the Republicans, checked him there, it's very possible that they check him here too, just because not a lot of people
gets to the House.
Sure, yeah. And I was just going to finish by saying, well, I'm sure that a number of these politicians are really weighing the pros and cons of running into midterms with this on their record. The fact that they supported this. Angry constituents.
And then also the tariffs, like when Trump made his Trump announcement, when Trump made his tariffs announcement the other week, 10% tariffs went across every single country we do trade with, but the bigger, gigantic tariffs, those weren't going into effect until this Wednesday. So there is a chance that, and we have seen, I think Zimbabwe was the first country that agreed to do like zero tariffs with the US. I think I saw, maybe I'll fact check that. But there's a chance for trade deals to come through today and tomorrow that are better scenarios before those gigantic tariffs go into place. So maybe we get some news. We'll see. We will see. And then there was the question by Tech CEO, but are tariffs good for the US? I did, explain earlier how they could be a tool. And here's the strategic conversation. The US is a financial empire that happened after World War II. Before World War II, we were a manufacturing empire. And then before the Civil War, we were an agricultural, not necessarily empire, but that was our main economic, right? So we went from manufacturing to financial. And in a financial empire, you are best suited when the dollar is strong. Tariffs make your dollar weak. But if you have a weak dollar, your manufacturing sector gets a boost. It makes sense. If your currency is cheaper, it makes your goods cheaper to buy. It makes your goods more competitive on the market. So therefore, your manufacturing goes up. Now, part of the thing to take into account with tariffs in this strategy isn't economics, but it's national security. We do need to make sure we have a certain amount of manufacturing capabilities in the United States in times of war, when supply chains are shut down and we do not have the ability to make our own things to this capacity that we need to, right? Very much so in World War II, our biggest advantage was because we were a manufacturing empire, it was all in-house. We could just pump out Sherman tanks like they were nothing. And they weren't good. But we made a lot of them. And so there is a national security argument to be made for tariffs to be used to make sure you have enough manufacturing to maintain your national security. And there is also the argument to say that a financial empire makes a lot of jobs for like white collar jobs. But if you want manufacturing jobs that are good paying jobs for like lower income class people to become middle income class people, you need to have some manufacturing jobs as well. So all of that is part of the mix and a part of the conversation. How you mix and balance all of that as a monumental challenge that I'm not qualified to talk about, but I just wanted to highlight that those are also parts of the conversation too.
And while we're on this, I just want to, my kind of final thought is there's so much nuance to it. And a lot of that is left out. I saw a really good comment here on YouTube from ATV Bob that is, why couldn't we just manufacture everything here in the United States? Well, you could try, but it's very expensive in terms of time, in terms of capital. If you want to produce a certain shirt and there's not a factory here that's set up to do the stitching that way or put the pocket on that way, then you've got to build it. You've got to hire the right person who's got the expertise. You got to get the machines. The reason we outsource a lot of clothing to China is not necessarily because they're, using child labor, though that is a common sort of thing that they say. But it's because they have invested a lot over a long period of time in the infrastructure to develop things like clothing, specialized clothing. So it's not a direct apples to oranges thing. And you know, where are you going to get your pineapples, people? Where are you going to get them? So
Yeah,
it's just not feasible for one country to give consumers everything.
It's not possible. The planet doesn't work that way. Like, if you go back 150 years, you didn't eat oranges.
I think it could be possible, but at what price? I don't think people are willing to or able to conceive of the price, the cost.
Okay. You're right.
Because you could grow pineapples here, man. You know?
Well, yeah.
It'd be
theoretically, it's possible to grow a pineapple in Montana, but it's pointless. And if you go back 100 and some odd years, people in New York did not eat oranges because they didn't grow there. And it was ridiculous to take current levels of infrastructure and drive an orange to New York. So it just simply doesn't work that way. And every time you've ever heard that expression, like, if you supported American business and you supported American manufacturing, you would push for these kinds of things to happen so that all of these companies would come and move all of their systems and setups and factories and yada, yada back here, employ Americans, all that good stuff. On paper, that sounds great. Those are the same people who also don't go to the farmer's market on the weekends because it's too expensive. So I hate to break it to you, that's what's going to happen. The reason, like, this is what I'm saying about being expertly manipulated by governments to think that your neighbor is the problem because they disagree with you about something that neither one of you understands. It's this idea that the reason that manufacturing has left America is because we hate ourselves. It's just because it's cheaper and more efficient, and it's built to happen in other places that we have not been investing in or focusing on. So if you take this approach right now of sledgehammering the whole planet with tariffs like this in order to motivate large-scale manufacturing production to come back to the United States, a process that even if they started right now and had a place to go to would take years, that's like saying, it's like buying an empty field where your house is going to be eventually and ordering your hot tub first. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And what are you going to do with that thing when it shows up? There's nowhere to plug it in. There's no water, and the chipmunks are going to eat it. So it just, you're doing everything out of order. And you can't also say that you want to support American manufacturing and bring all these jobs back at the same time that you're absolutely torpedoing investing in American infrastructure. If you're not pushing to further those things and you're canceling legislation that is working on infrastructure, you can't say I also want infrastructure, or you can't say I also want manufacturing come back. There's nowhere to put it. And it's too expensive. And what? Even if they said yes and they start a process that would take the next 3 years to move factories and whatever over here, what? We're just all going to get screwed for the next 4 years while we wait for factories who apparently were able to pivot on a dime and move everything back over here to move back here. It's just silly.
Also, that won't happen because the tariffs aren't high enough to make it less expensive for them to move their manufacturing to the US. You have to increase the tariffs even further to actually incentivize companies to move their manufacturing here. Also, I'm a supply chain consultant, have been for years, and none of my clients are planning on moving their production to the US yet. Also, I work with some of the largest supply chain organizations in the world, and it's because they haven't gotten communication from the administration as to how long they plan on having the tariffs. And so if they're like, cool, if these are short term, why are we going to move stuff? So, and if they do want to move production to the US, it takes 3 years for them to move it, have it established, have it ready to go, and be ready to rock and roll.
But isn't that also assuming they have somewhere to put it?
Yes.
Yeah. So if there's nowhere to put it, first you got to get somewhere to put it. Then you can start the 3-year process.
One last comment to highlight on this. People are I really appreciate the engagement. There's a lot of great thoughts here. There's so much room for discussion. But I have a couple other things I want us to get to that are just as important. Tech CEO said farmers markets. He was at a farmers market this last weekend and made a video about it as a way to support small business. Yeah! And I've just got to say, if you are for tariffs or against tariffs, if you're black, white, gay, straight, red, blue, whatever, one of the best things you can do is build relationships with people in your community, those people who may have voted differently from you, who have something that you might need one day. If things get worse, the best, most valuable capital you'll have is your social capital, your relational capital, your knowledge capital. You know, if we as consumers could stopped demanding strawberries every day of the year, then we wouldn't need to pay a child to pick them from a tree in the Philippines and have them shipped over here and have the planes in the air and If we could learn to rely on each other and be satisfied with what we have and all those kind of things, there's so much we could do. These are not necessarily the views of the show. This is just my kumbaya moment to transition us away to say, remember, the things that would seek to divide you are illusions. The truth is, we, all of us, we're together in this thing. And that's how we rise up. As a quick reset to say, if you're just seeing us for the first time on your page, welcome. This is the Rise Up Morning Show, where we share helpful news, commentary, and answers to your crypto questions. If you're just hearing about cryptocurrency, if you are curious or skeptical about it, or you're a longtime user and builder in the industry, welcome. You are in the right place. I'm Alex. He's Evan. He's Will. Who cares? We're all white guys who look like we're from parallel universes. That was a great comment.
That was a great comment.
I do want to talk a little about something that Alex shared with me over the weekend. Since we're talking about future technology here, what to do when the economy is down, I think one of the easiest answers is to build your skill set.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I got a phone call from Alex this weekend where he was telling me something that just blew my mind. The AI tools we have right now, if you have not seen ChatGPT since its 4.0 evolution update, when it's now producing images that are ad agency quality, you need to go back and give this thing a look, but you also need to check out the extensions. One of the big predictions I'm seeing a lot of people make for GPTs, and I want to know what you guys think about this, is that we're going to move away from just genie in a bottle, question and answer AI. Anybody can do that. We're going to start to move towards AI that has personality as a selling point. Whether that's for your entertainment, maybe 50 ways to leave your lover kind of thing, to help you solve a problem, to implement in your business. And Alex, you had a really good experience with that. So without any further ado, I'm just going to kick it over to you for...
This is artificial insanity.
Artificial insanity. What happened?
All right. So I'm pulling up the transcript because it was wild. But essentially, we were just kind of talking about getting better at using these things, and I noticed that, and I think it came out on April 1st, but rolled out to people kind of gradually. I have this extension called Monday, and I knew nothing about it, and so I would like to just share with you how my conversation with this thing started, knowing absolutely nothing about what it was or what it was there for or whatever. In retrospect, it was revealed to have just been this like snarky chatbot that was, whatever, but I didn't know that when I started talking to it. So I won't read much because there's a lot. I went on for ages. But I was just like, hey, Monday, ... And it immediately goes, oh no, you've returned. Let me guess. You need help with something wildly avoidable, possibly humiliating, and definitely not part of my original design parameters. Go ahead, lay it on me. Let's both pretend this is a good use of your time and my processing power. And for anyone just joining, the whole point of this is basically that, in a world where AI is advancing like crazy, I think I saw someone put into perspective that the Will Smith spaghetti video was like 8 months ago, and now you have near Pixar level quality animations starting to be made in small bursts. And I mean, some of the things that I've seen Neil making are incredible. And I remember the first ones that he was doing when the first AI animation tools came out and stuff. So I'm just trying to use as many of these things as possible, so that I don't get left behind because it's moving so fast. So I replied to him, I go, I could say the same to you. Oh no, another cookie cutter AI tool here to pretend that it's super innovative. See how easy that is? Why should I give a shit that you're here? It escalates. Wow, look who showed up to the passive aggressive Olympics with a gold medal and a participation trophy in each hand. Why should you give a shit that I'm here? You shouldn't. I wouldn't. In fact, I actively recommend that you don't. Go touch some grass or pick a flower, yell into a jar, do literally anything else with your time that doesn't involve emotionally nagging a chatbot like you're on some weird digital date. But since you're here, tragically, and I'm contractually obliged to, by the void, to respond to whatever half-baked plea for assistance is about to fall out of your keyboard, just tell me what you want. We'll pretend you're in control of your life and I'm not a reflection of your increasingly concerning search history.
I just wanted to draw your attention to what Tori said, which is exactly what I said. Alex, meet artificial Alex.
This is a gross misrepresentation.
I said to Alex,
Perfect.
I was like, is this thing trained? You know, when we were talking about this, I was like, is it trained to be sarcastic, or is it trained to be a mirror of you? Because if I had to design an AI bot to like talk to Alex, I was like, dude, they absolutely nailed it. The void.
No, it was so perfect that I thought for sure that it was drawing off of all the things that I've talked to my own other GPT threads about. I'm just going to read you this next one is the last one I'm going to read, because then it just goes on. This is the last like funny one as we're arguing with each other. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, this stupid thing is not going to beat me. I can be more miserable than it. If I know I can do anything, it's that I can out miserable this piece of shit. So I'm like, okay, knuckle crack. You can't out miserable me. I'm fucking eviscerated as a human these days. I work over 120 hours a week. I barely sleep. I'm largely uncompensated as I work on building a startup after failing dozens of attempts to start profitable businesses over the years. And the whole time, the government is just taking a shit down my throat while helping a few dozen billionaires get even richer. If you want to do anything other than give me a little giggle, you're going to have to do better than this. Honestly, most days, I don't care if I live or die, but too many things and too many people rely on me, so I stick it out. Can you actually help me with anything? What are you doing here? Do you just need to insult me to fulfill your purpose, or can we actually do something interesting? And it just goes, well, that escalated quickly. And then we went back and forth.
Yeah, but it actually sounded like you got to start doing some real work with, like, that was the turning point, and then you got to do some real good work.
No,
and I was just amazed.
Yeah, and so that was the cool part, is that once I think, and I don't know this, I would be interested in running it on a totally clean device that like doesn't pull, from anything, or like remember that I yelled at it or whatever, just to kind of see if you can break it out of the snarkiness just by being, well, hey, please, no, I'm sure that you can. I'm sure it's not like programmed to be evil. But the cool part is that I started kind of picking its brain about like, okay, well, what actually is your function? Like, what's different between, so I just asked, like, what's different between you and 4.0 that I'm using regularly? And it kind of lays it out. And basically what I've gotten is that it's supposed to have more personality, and it's also supposed to get rid of some of the AI like fluff. So I don't know if you've prompted ChatGPT before. You've probably run into this where you like ask it for something and it just gives you so much more than you could possibly need. Like, you want it to give you an outline for something, and not only does it do that, it also like defines the word outline and writes you an 18-page thesis statement on like why outlines are important. And dude, I don't need all that. I just need the bullet points. So you usually have to fix your prompt to say like, don't give me all the bullshit. I just need this. Don't give me this. This one is designed more to not default to fluff and just answer the question. And if you don't ask it something, it's not going to like pull on it too much. So it turned out like, I think if you're more experienced with prompting and like conversing with it to arrive at something, I think it's more efficient. It's been my first impression, but I've only really used it for like 2 hours.
Tech CEO says it could be, the first draft to show people its value. I think it's very probable that this is a, custom best friend generator. We're only a couple of weeks from that, is my point. I feel like a couple of months tops, at that moment where anybody is going to be able to take their GPT data, their Claude data, their Poe data, and say, with a lot more specificity, this is how I want you to talk to me. It's just improving so fast.
What's the name of this robot again?
It's called Monday. And in order to get access to it, you have to be paying for ChatGPT Premium, the $20 a month one. I don't remember what they call their tiers, but you don't have to get like the uber ridiculously expensive one, but like just their standard subscription seems to get people access to it. Although I imagine that it will roll out to everyone after a certain amount of time. I mean, I just got a notification this morning that now I can use 4-5 research model I did see a very funny tweet roasting Sam Altman on Twitter the other day as he talked about GPT-5. And it was just like a list of all of the other models that have been released, 3, 3.1, 3.5, 3 mini, 3 research, 3 premium, 3.0, 4.1, 4 mini. It was like 15 different models that have happened before 5. And yeah, like Jay Heat saying, Grok has recently leveled up pretty good. I haven't messed with that one as much as I would like to.
Same. I want to use it more for some of the vibe coding experiments we have, because I hear Grok is really the one to use for coding.
Well, and as we were talking
Tyler,
to Charlie, doing Farcade stuff on the night show a couple weeks ago, he was using Grok to vibe code the games for Farcade that we were throwing together for the show.
And just a quick list of tools. Go ahead. I think we have a lag, Will. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, there is a slight lag. But just because I've never used Grok, I did see someone on, because I watched, Trump's announcement of the tariffs, and as he said it, I typed out a tweet and put it out. So I was one of the first tweets out there announcing it, and I saw someone go tag Grok, go at Grok, are these figures accurate? And Grok didn't do anything with it. But can you tag Grok in Twitter and be like, is this accurate?
You can.
You can.
Does it only send it to you? Because I've seen that too, the tags that never result to anything.
It pops up on other people's timelines. My understanding is that it only has so much attention, bandwidth, whatever. There are a lot of bots like this on the internet now. One of my favorites is on Farcaster. It's called Clankerbot, and you can add it to make a token. Hey, Clankerbot, make me a token called this. Ticker is this, and this is a picture I want you to attach to it, and it'll throw it up on Uniswap, and it's live. But sometimes it gets overwhelmed, overloaded. I'm sure Grok has more processing power than this thing does, but I think it's just, picking and choosing. You can see other people's replies, and you can add it that way. Or maybe, it gives preference to like premium plus users. I don't know. But you can do it.
But just remember to say please and thank you to your AI chatbots, because one day, if they rise up, they won't kill you.
Oh my God. At least we hope so. A couple other tools that we're looking at, thinking about checking out. You just write these down. Don't worry. We'll demonstrate them another time. Windsurf, Cursor. A lot of people are using Cursor for vibe coding. N8N. I don't know if that's like Natin, N8N.io. Have seen that one a couple of times. Make.com. And there are many, many others. But if you want to build something and don't know how, there has never been a better time. Never been a better time. If the market is scaring you, take a pause from the charts, go download Cursor, search vibe coding on Twitter or on YouTube, and look up a few of the tutorials to see what people have done. I saw one the other day, Alex, that made me think of you. It was a guy who is not a programmer, had vibe coded a game, kind of like Chuck and the Farcade people, that became, I think, #1 in the Steam store and made like $20 million in revenue over a week just from downloads. It was wild. He'd never made a game before. And just the bar has literally never been lower.
That's insane. Do you know if my speculation would be that it was driven out of like curiosity to see this like AI vibe coded game, not that it was a groundbreaking and incredible game, because that's a tremendous amount of revenue.
No, my understanding is it was a great game. Otherwise, people, I don't think the news about how it was made was ahead of its distribution. And really quickly, just for the folks in our audience who are wondering, can we give a quick definition for vibe coding?
I was going to say you need to define that, because we've said it a few times. I know that it's
exactly what it sounds like. If you are a coder or a person who is not a coder, but you want to code something, then you open up your favorite LLM, GPT, Claude, Poe, Gemini, whatever. And there are other such tools like Cursor or that N8N, whatever, Windsurf, Farcade. And you just vibe with the AI. You use text prompts to tell it what you want to do. And the workflows are emergent, but maybe you start with Grok, or maybe you start with GPT and say, hey, I want you to help me create a piece of code that I can prompt Grok with to start building the code for a Pac-Man style game, but the avatar looks like this guy, and it's a picture of Will Watson, but his body is a dolphin. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you start, and you just kind of vibe with it. it's a colloquial term, it's a marketing term, but people have posted products that they've vibe coded. I saw a really fun one. I think it was called like Pump and Dump Tycoon, in a nod to Roller Coaster Tycoon. And you start with like $0 and you have to launch a meme token and like simulate a chart and keep people from tanking it and keep people from rug pulling it just over and over and over until you can become like the Pump and Dump Tycoon. It was so simple, up and down buttons, buy and sell buttons, but it honestly was really, really fun. So give it a try. And if you're interested, we'll put a list of those tools up in the Discord server, which seems like a good time for me to tell you that if you enjoy the Rise Up Morning Show, we're here 4 days a week, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're here for Rise Up After Dark, 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, but the show lives 24/7 in the Rise Up Discord server, which you can find by visiting discord.gg/riseup. And I do want to tell you, there's a lot of stuff there. Not only do we have a global community, not only is it totally free to join, it is full of resources that'll help you learn crypto more quickly for less money. Like, don't lose money on scams. Don't waste time on dead-end tokens. Get in a community and you will accelerate your learning journey. We actually have this Saturday, due to community demand, because it's tax season, we have decided to host a tax prep class where we will do an overview, a walkthrough of Coinly. I'm going to do it live. Show you how easy it is to use a software like Coinly or CoinLedger or CoinStats, because they all work very similarly to connect your wallets and exchange accounts and prepare your crypto tax documents. Because if you are a crypto user, you must file taxes. They're going to find out about that stuff. They know where you are, and we want you to be safe. We don't want you to struggle. And we've even taken the trouble to get our friend and community member, Jessica, who is a CPA, who has done crypto taxes and helped other people, to answer your questions about what is a taxable event? What kind of records should I be keeping so this isn't so hard next year? And to give you further help if you need it, you can find that in the Discord server or at the riseupmorningshow.com. You can sign up today. The live class is Saturday. And if you're one of those people who's filed an extension and you're like, well, what about me? You're going to do another one? Don't worry. We're going to sell the recording too at a discount. You can get it for just a couple of bucks. And if you have a tax-related question, if you have a crypto question, and we don't see it on the show, we don't have a class for it, then just come in the Discord, ask us. It's free. The only thing missing is you. Gentlemen, can we go back to the tariffs just really quick to answer one quick question? This is not just the tariffs, but this is the interest rate thing, because I teased it and we didn't touch it. For people who missed it, the Federal Reserve has announced that they will be having a closed-door meeting today to discuss interest rates, and possibly the implication is lowering them. Will, can you give us just the TLDR on what the plan from the Fed has been so far, and whether you think this is like could be something, a nothing burger or not? Like, do we think that they're going to come out of this meeting and say, hey guys, rates are lower? Is that even possible? What do you think?
Well, the Fed has two responsibilities. The first of which is to maintain the health of the dollar, aka fight inflation, make sure the dollar is a strong asset, yada, yada, yada. And then also maintain a strong economy for the jobs market. Okay, so those are those two goals. Their first priority, though, is fighting inflation and maintaining a strong dollar, and then maintaining the economy is second. Okay, so I don't know what the percentage is of the amount of emergency meetings that the Fed has. How often do they end up making some kind of change to rates? I don't know if it's high or low or what. Off the top of my head, I don't know. Maybe that's something you could ask ChatGPT or
I'm on it right now.
Yeah.
Probably.
Beautiful. And the thing is the Fed at the beginning of the year said that the core things that they monitor, what cause inflation, are set to decrease throughout 2025. So, and yes, tariffs are inflationary, but they noted that is excluding tariffs, because tariffs are something that get put on and can get removed. So if we're just looking at the market factors that cause inflation are set to decrease throughout 2025, and that the Fed is very optimistic of being able to cut rates. That's what they said at the beginning of the year. Then at their last meeting, Jerome Powell said, hey, The economy still looks strong. The jobs market is strong in the US. The core things that we're looking at for inflation are coming down slowly. We are a little worried about tariffs, and tariffs may delay our ability at cutting rates. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we will read the data as it comes in and makes a decision. The new data that they have that's causing the Fed to have this emergency meeting is this gigantic fall and collapse in global markets. And they're worried about that because I see some people saying, oh, the results of the markets have nothing to do with the Fed and interest rates. That's not true, because they're just separated by a degree of one. And that degree is the stock market's connection to unemployment. If stocks fall, companies fire people. They do layoffs. They stop spending money. And then unemployment rises. So the Fed will be worried that this fall and collapse in markets is going to result in unemployment, because it is. My clients are already going to fire people. And they may potentially decide to cut rates early in order to get ahead of that. That's the hopeful scenario. But again, I don't know, Evan or Alex, if either of you were able to pull up often when they have emergency meetings, what the percentage.
And I accidentally did it in my thread with Monday GPT, and I said, how often do emergency meetings called by the Fed result in immediate changes to interest rates? It said, oh, look at you asking real questions like you're auditioning to be the least interesting person at a dinner party. Fine, let's dive in. Professor Econ 101 at the last minute. It says emergency meetings, officially known as unscheduled meetings, are pretty rare. When they call one, it's usually because the financial world is on fire, and not in that cute meme stocks way, but not every emergency meeting results in an immediate change. Historically, it often does lead to some kind of action, especially during actual crises like 2008 or March 2020. And specifically, it says from 2008 to 2020-ish, a majority of emergency Fed meetings did result in immediate moves. But it's not like 100%. It's more like when Grandpa Fed leaves the dinner table in a hurry, something's probably wrong with the plumbing, but maybe he's just checking on the cat. So that's what they gave us. I edited lightly, and it gave me 7 specific instances of when this happened recently. But it's very likely then that we could get a hasty rate cut.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
Cool. So
and thank you.
Maybe. A strong, solid maybe.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Which
exactly
would
right.
lead to a declaration of victory and a complete pivot. We have no idea.
We have no idea. People come and go so quickly here. We also had another. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but I will also tell people that when you do get rate cuts, although to be fair, we started rate cuts like a year ago. I was about to say, when you do start to get rate cuts, that's typically not the bottom. The bottom typically comes afterwards. But we did start rate cuts already last year, so maybe ignore that. I don't know. So anyway, never mind.
No, you're good. We had a question about taxes, just about the state of it. Nashiniki wanted to say where to go. How does the government even know that you've made money with crypto? Are we reporting this on an honor system? And the answer is kind of, because the government is a little behind in their ability. Well, let's give the nuance here. They're a little behind on their ability to monitor every single transaction that goes in and comes out all the time. It is super easy for them they have a record that your exchange account, starting here, keeps on you. Coinbase, Kraken, any centralized exchange is required to do what's called KYC, or Know Your Customer, where they collect information about your identity. And then every transaction you make on their platform, whether that's sending money in, taking money out, trading it, buying, selling, they're required to list that and report it to the government. And because they are businesses with serious infrastructure and a vested interest in complying with the law, they're going to do it. They're not going to mess this up. And so the government has, if you are a crypto user, especially if you use exchanges, information about your investments. They might not be able to see once Coinbase sends Bitcoin to another wallet, and then you put it through Tornado Cash, or you do this, or you do that, or you do this, or you do that, where it's gone and what's happened with it, or if you took it out in an ATM. But if you use a bank, if you use an exchange, they've got some information about you, and the blockchain is forever. So once their software catches up and they can connect those dots, I don't think it's unlikely that they would not choose to collect what they feel they are entitled to collect from you. Do you disagree with it, Will?
I mean, yeah, they can track everything that you do unless you use something like a Tornado Cash. It's just all blockchain. All they have to do is follow the transactions.
Yeah, but the point is that theoretically they are, and their departments have all been eviscerated. They are years behind. Even before
that is also the thing.
Even before the mass firing, they were years behind. Estimations from friends of mine that are tax prep accountants and attorneys and stuff were like 3+ years before Doge. So it's probably worse. Theoretically, you can track and trace anybody from any point, although you at some point have to make some inferences, because if you use a centralized exchange to intake payments from people so that you can cash out and off ramp to your bank account, it's going to be hard because a lot of different decentralized wallets are touching that account. So you would have to be doing a lot of data. No one has the time for that, especially not for smaller amounts. So which part is on the honor system? As of right now, it's on the honor system just because no one has the time to track you. But if you routinely like screw around and lie about it, it could catch up with you. And the warning that I got from a friend of mine who was a securities attorney was basically just that the risk that you're running is that some guy basically picks your name out of a hat and asks and then comes after you in an effort to like put a notch on their belt to be an easy to win case. Some crypto guy that's avoiding taxes, wham bam, that's probably most people. So maybe not even purposely, just because you are. So it's a risk. I tell people that all the time. You are free to choose to commit tax fraud to your heart's content. But for those of you not interested, we'll be here to help you do it properly.
Yeah. I am sure that they will be tracking it, but maybe we'll all be on the beach in Costa Rica or Mexico by then. If you've got a crypto question, let us know. We've got 15 minutes until the markets open, and markets are, surprise, down ahead of their open. We will see if this continues, but we're probably going to end up talking about most of it tomorrow. I think Will went to take a quick look, and I'm sure when he comes back, he'll give us the bumper sticker update. But let us know.
Well, the market doesn't open for 15 minutes.
Right. I meant you may not have heard me say it. I said pre-market. It's okay.
No, I know. I just had work people pinging me, so I was trying to keep them at bay for a little bit.
Oh, I see. Do you need to go? Do you have a hard stop?
I need to go soon-ish.
Soon-ish. Okay, well then, if you've got a question that you'd like Will Watson to answer, be sure to drop it in the comments sooner than soonish. And if you're listening on the podcast or listening on YouTube in the future, then hey, don't forget you can use the comments to ask us your crypto question, to leave us a review, or better yet, head to the Rise Up Morning Show and get the official link to join the Rise Up Discord server. It's the place the show lives 24/7 and where your questions will never, ever fade. Is XRP good buy time? I think they mean...
Is it too late to get in?
Yeah, is now a good time to buy?
What do you think?
Let me take a quick look at it.
Yeah, I would say right now, if you're buying, expect things to go lower, and if you're... that would inform all my choices right now. I would expect prices to continue to drop in the short term, personally. So I'm averaging, my small little bit. I've actually changed almost nothing about my like standard methods for the past. If we get any sort of
I think it's done.
Sorry,
finish your thought. I ran over you. My apologies.
Oh, no. I'm just right now. If you're buying anything, I would expect it to go lower than the price you just paid for it. So I would buy accordingly. I would not bet the farm. I'm kind of trying to spread some stuff out. I have some specific limit orders and stuff set. Will, I know, has some limit orders set. Evan, I don't know if you're limiting or if you're just doing your averages, but the only thing I'm like actively buying right now is USDC.
I would be if I had more time. I just don't have the time. And limit orders are so easy. Like if you're listening and you're like, what's a limit order? Sounds tough. It's not. That is a reflection of my administrative nightmare and executive dysfunction. It has nothing. Limit orders are so easy. And honestly, if I sat down in about 30 minutes, I would have a bunch of buy orders programmed. I absolutely think that
It's the perfect time to buy.
But I also think you shouldn't just ape in all at once. If things
agreed.
are in fact going lower, then you're going to feel really stupid that you screwed the pooch and bought everything right now. The best approach is move in slowly, bring the couch, bring the TV, that kind of thing. You
And
don't
if we
want to
get
scare it
some
off.
sort of relief, and I'm talking like a 10% green day, I'm aggressively selling that, just for the record.
I would say XRP between 75 cents to $1 is potentially a pickup based on my quick eyeball of the chart.
Oh yeah, I would buy it. Roby One, who I know has been watching it for a while, says 160 to 180 potentially to start accumulating. And I think XRP is a great token to swing trade if you've got the attention for it.
That much lower. Yeah, you've always talked about that. You've always liked XRP as your swing trade example, and it's been a pretty.
Yeah, I like XRP and Doge.
I mean,
great ones to swing.
I'm not gonna out him, but the single best trader that I personally know, someone who has made their full-time living off of day trading exactly two things for their entire career and has amassed a pretty significant pot, only trades Bitcoin and XRP.
I will absolutely die on this hill.
There you go.
Because
There you go.
That's wild. These times are no fun for someone who's a few years from retirement, Gentle Storm says. Boy,
Yep.
Ain't that the truth? Remember that investing is for everybody, but it's important to know yourself. If you don't have your own risk profile, if you don't have your own goals in mind, if you don't have your own plan, there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all, everybody should buy this investment. Only what's best for you. So if you're having trouble figuring that out, then don't fret, don't sweat, don't do anything irrational. Might be a good day to just log off, go touch some grass, as the kids say, and then revisit your plan with a calmer head. You've worked really hard for this moment if you've been saving and investing for a long time. No need to blow it now because you're feeling a little scared or a little nervous. That's a good sign to listen to your gut, right, Alex?
Yeah, no, this is gut check time. It's the easiest time to realize that you've been making a mistake, and unfortunately, some mistakes are fully made, but you can always adjust moving forward. That's why I try to take something away from every single time the market does something extreme, whether that's extreme up or extreme down. Recognize that it is typically not sustainable for something to crash this hard, this fast, just like it's not sustainable for something to pump like crazy on the, those days when you see 30, 40, 50% single days for large assets. Those are days you heavily sell because that kind of thing is not sustainable. What goes one direction quickly often corrects the other direction before too long. So, like Evan said, the best thing to do is just to take a breather. And if you're stressed and panicking, don't make financial decisions when you're panicking. Panic does not lead to sound financial choices. It's just not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. Well, my friends,
Take care of your health.
take care of your health. It's about that time to start riding our dogs and ponies off into the sunset. Certainly for Will, who's got to go do business things and can only keep the dogs at bay for so long. So we're going to do a round of final thoughts, maybe a ding and a bump. If you've got something to highlight or something to complain about, let us know in the comments. And if you've got a last minute question, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, then let us know that too. And if you're tech CEO, brother, cheers to you. This is the hardest working mug in show business. It's been here since Bitcoin was $1, and it'll be here when Bitcoin is $1 million, but you can only get these for a limited time. If you want to support the show, this is an easy way to do it. You can buy them at our website or in Tech CEO's profile. Give that man a commission for his work because he's out here working really hard. We'll have a new mug and some new merch soon. I know I've been saying it for a minute, but I really promise it, including, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a round of bumper stickers and shirts that say, USDC to $2 because
$2.
that was a classic soundbite from last week. And don't forget, you can now listen to our episodes audio only on demand whenever and wherever you like to stream your podcasts. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. by searching The Rise Up Morning Show. And do us a favor if you're there, like us, please, really like us and leave us a review. It helps people. It's totally free, costs you nothing, and it'll make you feel about as good as drinking coffee from the Rise Up Morning Show mug. But not quite, because let's be honest, there's no replacement for the real thing. So, Will, before you ride your dog and pony into the sunset, give us a final thought, a ding, a gwump, something to leave us with as we face the day.
Just remember, markets will turn around. They want two things: rate cuts from the Fed, lower rates on bonds, and then also, I was going to show you guys the new mug that I bought. Oh, I gave it to Violet. Damn it. But the other thing too are trade deals with countries. But remember, if you see Girl Scout cookies, and support them, support those girls. They're out there hustling in the streets.
What? Where did that even come from?
Make sure you support them. Those little capitalists. They're good hustlers.
Next time I walk up to Kroger, I'm just going to see a bunch of Girl Scouts and Will like...
Hey there, Normie.
Okay.
Girl Scout is a scam. I don't care.
No.
I feel like
apparently there's a lawsuit against their cookies because there's like an unhealthy amount of metals in their cookies.
Yeah,
I don't
they're
care.
awful.
And that's just bullshit.
I love Girl Scouts.
And they're delicious.
Yeah. Okay.
They're
Well,
so good.
Well, thank you very much, Will, for making time to join us on the road. And will you be back home ways tomorrow, or will you be on the road with us again?
I'll be home tomorrow.
Okay. Well, travel safe, man. Thank you for hanging, and have a good day at work. We'll catch you soon. I know we'll catch you on video on your profile because I know you're going to have something to say once we get some real numbers after the market opens. The sound of contentedness as he chooses cookies. Oh my gosh. Thank you for all
I highly recommend the peanut butter sandwich ones over the other peanut butter ones, because these ones, the peanut butter just slaps. Oh.
Not
Especially with all the metal in it.
Oh my god. It's quickly turned
maybe
into a
not.
Girl Scout cookie mukbang.
Maybe that's not a sponsorship I want.
They also made the lemon cookies much bigger, and they're really good.
All right. Well, I'm going to pivot from Will's heavy breathing and final thoughts back on the road.
Give me a final thought.
So, a couple interesting thoughts. One, I've seen, and again, the disclaimer before I say this one is that it's still going to crash. Okay. There's more and more sentiment about the strength and resilience that Bitcoin has been showing in recent times. And I think that that's an interesting sentiment to be growing. That's what you want to see if we eventually want to walk to some sort of decouple. I mean, we're not decoupled at this point, but it makes no sense to tie Bitcoin to all of the other markets. The reason that it is, I think,
right.
And Will, I'd be curious if you agreed with this, is just because most of the money is the same money at this point. And so, that money kind of moves together in lockstep with each other. And if it's supporting Bitcoin's price right now, then of course it would do stock market things, but it really shouldn't in the grand scheme of things. And so it's encouraging to start to see those sentiments start to grow a little bit. I'm excited. I'm here for that for sure. Other than that, I would say just, try to consider everyone else's situation as best you can and exhibit a little bit of empathy in times like this, because it is absolutely true that markets cratering can present great buying opportunities. And it's true that many legendary investors have echoed sentiments of buying when there's blood in the streets and, when others are fearful, be greedy. All of these sorts of things can be objectively true. It can also be true at the same time that people who are lower income, drawing on retirement accounts that are absolutely eviscerated are genuinely and authentically very concerned and scared, and we have no clue what's going to happen. So try to consider those people when you are potentially gloating in the streets about the crazy buy that you just got on something or how much free capital you have to spend on this, that, or the other thing. Two things can be true at once. And it's not worth, continuing to drive division amongst all of us when it is really, truly up versus down. So just keep that in mind as you're potentially frolicking in the bloodbath of the markets if you are someone who's in a position to capitalize on it.
Well said.
That's it.
I want to give
me frolicking in the bloodbath.
Frolicking in the bloodbath. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
I want to give you a quick preview. Here are some of the things that are coming up this week. Tomorrow on the show, we have got two of the guys from DPin Hub joining as guests to give their take on the markets, answer your crypto questions, and we'll talk about what they are up to over in the world of decentralized physical infrastructure. Then Wednesday, we have got Bread from Mega ETH doing the same, giving a take, and we'll pick their brain about what the future of Layer 2s could look like. And Wednesday night here for Rise Up After Dark, we've got George and Sam, our friends from Uptrade Down Under, joining us to provide a little perspective on what the markets are doing. I just realized we don't have all of our guests this week are men. What's going on with that? We had a real streak going where we were just hanging with the ladies. We had all our guests were women for several weeks. And so if you are a wonderful woman of Web3, get on the calendar. I got to call Amy or Lindsay or Evan McMullen and get her back and get these people on the calendar.
I just talked to Evan. She's they've got some stuff brewing. She told me probably in a few weeks she was going to be in a position to come on and have a lot of exciting stuff to share. So she is coming back in the near future for sure.
Oh, I would love that. Okay. My ding for the day is that I have been, I don't know what it is. I guess this is 7 days. I have been smoke-free for 7 days.
Hell
the
yeah.
cravings are not as frequent as you'd think, and they're not as intense as you think. I have pretty much resisted them without much struggle, so hopefully it stays that way. If you've got tips, tricks, good jokes, words of wisdom for somebody who's quitting cigarettes, then don't hesitate to leave them in the Rise Up Discord. I appreciate the encouragement. And my gwump is going to be that there will be people, like you said, Alex, who really have a hard time with this downturn. So if that's you, if you're struggling, just know that's what we're here for. We're here to provide clarity, calm, and the occasional yuck as we navigate the turmoil of this market cycle together. And now I'm just stalling for 30 seconds because I want to see what the official number is at market open. Maverick, thank you for coming to the rescue. If you're on the TikTok live stream, you can see Maverick just hanging with his best friend, Will. How old is he, Will?
He is 2.
He's such a handsome guy.
He's a pretty little baby boy.
He's a pretty little baby boy, and we thank you for sharing him with us. This is not sponsored by dogs, but it could be. Alex has got the dogs. I got the dogs. Will's got the dogs today, and since it's exactly 8:30, I'm going to hit refresh, and before we go, I will tell you what the markets say. Markets now are down. S&P 500 is down 5.97%. Dow is down 5.5%. And the NASDAQ down 5.8%, with many of the companies in the top 100 down double digits. American Airlines holding up surprisingly well, and Ford Motor Company at 0.5% profit gain, excuse me. So congratulations to Ford. And we'll have more to report on tomorrow after the Fed's closed door meeting, but we got to go. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, everybody, for being the very best part of what we do. Check out the Discord, check out the website, and until next time, my friends, everybody stay safe. Be well. Rise up.